Hi guys, I'm going to be covering the developmental and family life cycle theory, okay? Introduction. The developmental and family life cycle theory was originally conceived in the 70s with a typical Anglo middle-class family in mind. It has evolved to include the modern family, which can change, from divert from the nuclear family. However, the patterns are applicable to modern families as they were to the original one. A central theme in this theory is the concept of resilience. A family is resilient when it can overcome challenges successfully and is able to return to a stable state. A stable state does not mean returning to where the family was before. It means the family has successfully adapted to a new reality. Key concepts. Families develop and change over time. There are predictable events and stressors in the life of a family. For instance, the beginning occurs when a couple gets married and it ends when one of the members passes. As new members are added to a family, the dynamic becomes more complicated. There are expected events during the life cycle of a family that occur as it ages. For instance, the purchase of a home, having babies, kids going to college, and so on and so forth. Another key concept is families experience transitions from one stage to another. A transition brings about a disequilibrium in the status quo. This is a stressful time as changes in social roles and interactions may be necessary to achieve stability. The concept of off-time and on-time transitions is also introduced in this theory. Having a baby within the first few years of marriage is an on-time event because that's what normally happens. Waiting until the couple is in their 40s to have the first child would be an off-time event because that's kind of unusual. Expansion of the family concept. McGoldrick and others expanded the concept of a family to make it more fitting to the times. The concept of a family is not only applicable to a couple getting married, it becomes a union of individuals who feel a sense of belonging together. This expansion also includes those created by gay couples, lesbian couples, couples who live together and have children, and families formed with the union of two divorcees. How are these concepts linked? This theory focuses on the development of the family. It recognizes that families change and uses chronological events to understand how families evolve and where in the cycle the family is at any given time. Updating the concept of a family has kept it relevant. Researchers have found that there are patterns in the development cycle that are similar in most families. Definitions. Family. This theory expands the concept of the nuclear family to one called immediate family. It includes those that may not be recognized within a legal framework, but those whose members consider themselves to be a family. Health. The focus is on the health of the family, not on the individual. However, it does recognize that the health of individuals has an impact on the family. A healthy family is one that is stable, in other words, one that is resilient in the face of stressors. Environment, understood as the unique situation of a family given the dynamics of its members. Things like the age of the members and their situations influence the changing environments of the family at any time. Nursing, defined as the role of an individual who, through the understanding and application of the theory, can help the family adjust to the different transitions taking place so that the family can get back to a stable state. Analysis. Developmental family cycle theory as a concept of resilience is used in many different areas. A study by Mastin dives into the different areas where this theoretical concept is being used. For instance, in epigenetics, family therapy, and child development, to mention just a few. Also used to design intervention models that help parents understand child development. This theory can help parents and healthcare professionals in designing age-appropriate strategies for when and how to confront racial discrimination, bullying, and other social realities. Research study number one. Research by Murphy, based on the developmental family cycle theory, attempted to create a three-step process of preventive interventions for parents who lost a child through a violent death. The theory posited as a first step the identification of an unwanted event and to identify the populations at risk. The second step would be to understand the undesirable consequences from the event and to create strategies to mitigate the unwanted consequences. The third would be to identify and develop programs geared towards those who are being affected. Researchers identified the loss of a family as the most traumatic event that a parent can endure. I can see that. The consequences are multidimensional and affect many people. For instance, parents suffer through depression, anxiety, divorce, along with many physical illnesses. Individuals close to the family are also affected because they may personalize the event and realize their own vulnerabilities. Researchers also found that the trauma from the event and coping with these problems has immediate effects, and the problems persist for a long time. Those unable to recover from these types of events are at risk for divorce, financial chaos, illness, and difficulty maintaining interpersonal relationships. Talking about the event was found to help with cognitive reframing and eventual receding of symptoms. Social support groups played an important role in the parents' recovery. Parents' bereavement groups were created in Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. The interventions were targeted to parents in post-loss bereavement of 2 to 7 months. The program was 12 weeks long, and the groups met once per week for 2 hours. The first hour was used for skill building, and the second for emotional support. Parents then provided feedback on the program. Unfortunately, the feedback was not provided in this article. Research project number two, Pagoric and Finkelstein conducted a study using the family life cycle to understand the differences in response from parents and adolescents to ongoing rocket fire and how this affects family resilience. The project studied 89 families in Israel that had been on the rocket fire for 13 years. The aim was to understand the problem and to develop effective interventions. Adolescent and parent resilience was found to be equal, as well as their perception of the overall resilience of the family. A high level of individual resilience from parents and adolescents was found to be a predictor of family resilience. The close-knit nature of families in this area played a significant role, at least that's what the researchers think. Although gender in parents was not significant to family resilience, it did play a larger role in adolescent girls. They seem to be more resilient. It was also found that mothers and daughters had higher levels of anxiety than fathers and sons. Conclusions. At-risk families in this area should be identified to help them develop resilience. Mothers and adolescent daughters should be targeted for help to deal with anxiety in the face of adversity. Future studies should include Palestinian families and others with more diverse sociocultural backgrounds. Those studies should also collect information at different points in time to better understand family resilience and to help identify causality of results. Summary and conclusions. I think that all theories have something to contribute to the study of family health. These theories focus on the family rather than the individual seem like a good fit for purposes of my project. This model seemed appropriate due to the makeup of the family that I'm interviewing. However, I think that the family system theory could have also been used. Those are my references, and thank you very much for your attention.